Hi and welcome listeners to RPG Maker Cola, old and new. Thank you for tuning in. This is the last regular episode. Next week's episode will be a finale and be really exciting. I just wanted to let you know that for the first 10 to 15 minutes of the podcast, one of our guests' audio kind of pops in and out and you can hear little echoes. Nothing to be alarmed about. It gets better after a little while. And on to the podcast.
Okay, here we go. In 3, 2,
Ladies and gentlemen, you are now listening to RPG Maker Cola.
Hello, RPG Maker Cola listeners. My name is Benny, and I am the host of the RPG Maker Cola Podcast. This is your fizzy, soda-filled source of content for game development opinions that mean very little in the grand scheme of things. It's your favorite RPG Maker podcast, RPG Maker Cola. I'm also known as Cash, also known as the Puzzle Snob, and this is the place for you, a chill space, where we get together skilled developers from the RPG Maker community to chat cordially and occasionally non-cordially about game development, game design, and probably a whole bunch of unrelated other stuff too. It's casual, it's cool, it's cola. Today I have two guests that I'm really excited to introduce. Our first guest has admitted in their bio to making things sometimes. As an animator, illustrator, and RPG Maker developer who loves Kirby right back at the stars, RPG Maker games, and horror, they've also created a wide variety of incredible games, like Living Playground, The Witch's Puppets, games about where plastic children help a weeaboo escape from a bad situation. That's their own tongue-in-cheek description, but with that description of their game aside, it also holds deeper themes about relating to others, both the good and the bad. They're known to use sets of fantastic custom sprites and tile sets that are 100% custom, with animations and these cute drawings and characters that belie perhaps an underlying emotional darkness. Another game they created, Do Us Part, made for RPGmaker.net's Twisted Fairy Tales event, explores newlywed Margarita exploring the estate of her new, somehow very rich husband. Things escalate from there. With a penchant for the surreal and occasionally horrifying, this person is creating games like no other, and I'd like to present this incredible individual and creator. It's Meaka.
Hello, that's me.
Hi.
Hi. Yeah, that basically sums up all I'm about, so that's a great introduction. That's me.
Yeah, I just want to say, extend my personal thanks for being on the podcast, and yeah, appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Our second guest is a game developer who primarily uses RPG Maker VX Ace and enjoys writing and composing. They love horror games, adventure games, JRPGs, and practically any game with a compelling story. Firstly, in September of 2016, they created a high school dating game with a twist called Prom Dreams, a high school love story. You begin your game as a normal teenage boy looking for a date for a prom, but things get a little more twisted and scary from there. From this, in June of 2019, they created Turavero the Celestial Tower, a dark fantasy RPG created in VX Ace about 4 young adventurers who are determined to free their world from the influence of an ancient evil and set forth on a perilous journey to climb a mysterious divine tower, Turavero. These games seem to have a marriage of some of the best elements of RPG Maker games. What I see is, I haven't played it personally yet, but I'm going to play it this Friday on stream, the dungeon crawler gameplay and aesthetic of old school JRPGs with mystery, intrigue, and macabre elements of the RPG horror genre. What is said to be an original, dark, psychological story with multiple routes and endings determined by player choices, exploration, and even battle outcomes. I'd like to introduce the incredible developer of these games. Please welcome QZ Productions, otherwise known as Queenie. Hi.
Hello, I'm Queenie. I make video games.
Nice. Yeah, we're all together, everybody. Yeah, thank you for being on podcast. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Cheers. Yeah, we've got the whole gang together. We're all here. It's been a long ride because I've been organizing different things, and we had about 2 different versions of one guest of this podcast beforehand, and we didn't quite make it, and then we're finally here. So I'm just really happy that we're actually recording now. It's really good.
Well, it works out because Meaka and I are pretty tight.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. That's good. Anyway, yeah, it's awesome. So now that we're well acquainted with our guests, it's Buzz Corner time.
Buzz.
Welcome to the Buzz Corner. Here we talk about what RPG Maker games are gaining buzz at the moment. I've asked our guests to think of a game, to bring a game they can talk about that they seem pretty interested in. They don't have to have played it just has to look interesting to them. I'm bringing an RPG Maker game called Triple Triad Tournament of the Elements. Now, anyone who's played, say, Final Fantasy VIII might know of this card game called Triple Triad. And this is a fan game by UPRC, the creator of Final Fantasy Black Moon Prophecy series. It's their side project that kind of goes around, you go around sort of playing this game, this card game. It has about 360 total cards, and you choose from 30 selectable established Final Fantasy characters to be your avatar, where the god Dionysos, a god of revelry, pierced through the multiverse to invite characters from all universes to come play Triple Triad in his Palace of Revelry, with the promise of a grand prize to anyone capable of winning all 6 elemental tournaments. And there's no battles, no levels, just cards. So, anyone who kind of likes the mini games in Final Fantasy, I don't know if that's a small crowd or if that's a bigger crowd, but basically it's a tournament of Triple Triad. You just walk around this sprawling palace and you challenge people. It's like, I don't know if anyone played that Pokemon trading, did either play that Pokemon trading card game on the Game Boy or
My brother had that game, and I remember playing it a little bit, but I was kind of young, so I didn't really understand it, and I also never learned how to actually play the Pokemon trading card game.
Yeah.
So I think I just kind of walked around, did one battle, lost, and then was like, I don't understand this, and then just turned it off and played Harvest Moon.
I played it when I was young, and it was sort of it clicked with me for some reason. And it's funny, there's a couple of games, there were board games or card games that I learned through video games of that card game. I think it was that one, and there was Yu-Gi-Oh as well. I didn't know how to play that until I played the video game. Basically, I have a little soft spot for these games, and I'm really excited for UPRC's version of this.
I'm just sitting here kind of reveling at the fact that there's a video game that was made into a card game, and that card game into another video game.
Exactly.
And multiple times. It's a historical constant, apparently.
Yeah, and it's a fan game of a little mini game within the Final Fantasy series. So it's but they've expanded to its own full game, which
Gameception.
Yeah. Maybe I don't know who's in charge. Is it Square? I don't know who's in charge of Final Fantasy now, but maybe they should take note. Make one of these games. Come on. I'm really excited for this. I'll play it when it's out. I think it's out later on this month. I think so. Anyway, yeah. And the other cool thing is that they've made other games that are really well reviewed, and they have a lot of experience in it as well. So this is almost they say it's a side project, but it seems really they've got a lot to back it up. They've created 2 30 to 40 hour Final Fantasy fan games. And this is their little side project. So it's really they'll have the flavor down pat, I feel. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's just the artists that they're just oh, this is just a sketch I did, but it's the most beautiful I've ever seen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, it's just a doodle, guys, and then it's this beautifully rendered masterpiece.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, it's my buzzing game at the moment. Meaka, what's buzzing for you at the moment?
Well, I've been keeping my eye on this for a while. There's a self-described political otome game. It's called, I'm probably going to mispronounce the title, I'm so sorry, one of Zal, X-A-L. It is produced by Plot Twist Studios, which is actually headed by Project Trinity, who did the music for The Witch's Puppets, which is how I found out about it, because he had started working on that while we were, while I was commissioning him to do the music. So, I kind of was in the background seeing it be produced, and so he's been working on it for, the past 4 years since, and it looks really promising. There's a lot of, original, original characters. It's a dating sim. There's going to be characters. But I think his, like, storytelling seems really compelling because it's kind of... It's described as an otome game, so it's like you can date, but that's not like you have to date. It's you can do whatever. You don't have to. You can play a sexual run if you want, or a romantic rather. You can do whatever.
Yeah.
And it's currently in early access, so you can get that. And I don't know if it's on Steam, but it is on itch.io.
Yeah, I mean, this looks really good. I like the diversity of characters as well, and like the way that they allow for expression range, which isn't normally like accommodated in, say, AAA games or any games really. It's like being able to like welcome, like you said, asexual, aromantic, or all the different people on all the different different personalities that probably most games are like, I'm making a romantic game, it's going to be romantic, and it's like, well, what if you don't want to? It's like, okay, sure, you don't, it's like it's giving a bit of freedom of choice, and if that's like pulled off to the full extent, then it's like that's really impressive. And it looks great as well. I like the portraits and everything in the background. It's very crisp.
I would recommend if people would watch the demo video he has. It looks really nice. It has, it's, again, early access, so it's kind of like alpha build stuff, but there's some really pretty animation in it.
Wow, yeah. Oh, animation. Is like animated scenes and stuff in there as well, or?
It seems like it's going to incorporate animation. Some of it's just like typical visual novel animations where it's like the bus sprite blinks, but some of it looks like it's going to have actual animated cutscenes.
Wow, that's fantastic. Like, and yeah, just the polish of the art and the UI as well just looks great. And yeah, this looks fantastic. Awesome. Queenie, what's buzzing for you at the moment?
So I actually played this game a while back, but I still wanted to talk about it because one, it's a really freaking good game, and two, it had well, as soon as I mention the title, you guys know what I'm gonna talk about. But essentially, it went through a lot of really unfair controversy and was unavailable for a time because of that. But then they were able to finally overcome that and release the game on their own storefront so that they were able to finally get back out to the world again. And that was how I was able to play it. I am, of course, talking about Red Candle Games' Devotion. Yeah, so not super unknown indie stuff. If you're into the indie game scene, the indie game horror scene, you've probably heard of or played this game. But I just think that the story of how they essentially were almost torn apart as a studio, but then they were able to come back and, get the game out there on their own storefront. I thought that was really inspiring. But for those of you who haven't played it, you play as a father of a little girl in Taiwan. And the little girl is suffering from some sort of illness. And the father is searching for a way to help her. And as the story goes on, I can't say too much without spoiling it, but things go really, really, really wrong. And it kind of takes you through this surreal, kind of asynchronous narrative about what happened in this family. All of the issues surrounding it, what happened to the little girl, and all of that. And let me just tell you guys, it is a punch in the gut to play. Yeah. But the good kind of punch.
Yeah.
That makes any sense whatsoever. Like it will kick your feelings in the balls, but you'll love every second of it.
This comes from the creator of the game Detention as well, right? I've played that as well.
Yes, also Yeah, also a very good game.
Yeah, I played and completed that. That was a good game as well. And I can see how, I don't know, there was the controversy surrounding particular images. I don't know if I want to go into it more than that, but maybe. Anyway, it seems I want to get my hands on this game as well. It seems like it's like gorgeous lighting and like looks like a fantastic like atmosphere. Like it's gone from, because like I think it was like side-scrolling 3D or 2D, I can't remember, for Detention. But this is like full-on like first-person kind of exploration for this game. So they've gone into an entirely different sort of. Is that correct? Or maybe?
Yes,
was I?
Yeah. It's a lot more high. It's a lot. The production value is higher, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, excellent.
But yeah, it's a fantastic game, and it tells the story really, really well through its environments, through its symbolism. And, that's the sort of thing that, I try to incorporate a little bit into my games too. So, you mentioned any game with a strong narrative, and this is it.
Yeah. It says, and on the Wikipedia article, it also says it drew inspiration from atmospheric first-person games like PT, What Remains of Edith Finch, and Layers of Fear. I've only played the first two, but I can see, there's PT is like a very atmospheric sort of exploration, and then you got Edith Finch, which is also very, but like story-driven as well. And if it's anything like either of those games, I'd be very happy to.
And like I played Layers of Fear. I unfortunately did not get the chance to play PT before Konami did the thing. Konami. Anyway, but I did play Layers of Fear, and I would say that Layers of Fear is a lot more exploratory, whereas you can interact with the objects in Devotion a bit more. There's a couple of really cool puzzles there that kind of you have to kind of use your thinker a bit to get through it. So there's a little bit more puzzle solving, I would say, involved in Devotion than there was in Layers of Fear. Right. But the style is very similar.
Right. Awesome. Cool. That's so go and play those games. Check out those games. They might not all be playable yet. Triple Triad, Woman of Zal, and Devotion. If you can get your hands on them. But that's that. The Buzz Corner. Excellent. Thank you for bringing those games. We're going to transition from this section into our next part, which is we've been playing games. Maybe?
Possibly.
Welcome to We've Been Playing Games, Maybe. Oh, that sounded like a game show. Anyway, have you been playing games? If not, that's all good. But if so, you can listen here as each of us talk about a game we've been currently playing or have played and explain what we liked and disliked about it. That description of my section hasn't really made sense for a while now. I kind of asked the audience, have you played games? And then if you have, then you can listen to games, but it doesn't really make sense. Anyway, I need to edit that for my second to last. This is the second last episode of the season, so. But yeah, anyway, that's a bit late to change the format. Anyway, I'm going to be talking about two games actually. One's a single player game, one's a single or multiplayer game, but I played it multiplayer. I'm going to talk about 12 Minutes first. 12 Minutes is an interactive thriller about a man trapped in a time loop, featuring James McAvoy, Daisy Ridley, and Willem Dafoe as voice talents. It's a real-time, top-down interactive thriller with a click and drag interface, sort of like the early Sierra Adventure, sort of click on the fridge to open it, click on the plate to pick it up, and then combine the plate with the dessert or whatever. So it's like that type of game, but sort of intended to be cinematic, and it kind of stood out. At first, it stood out to me because of its direction. It was very sort of atmospheric, but then there was voice actors put onto it, and I think Twitch, kind of went wild with this game, and a lot of big creators ended up playing it. And and it's kind of bewildering. I was interested in the project, but I was kind of bewildered how many people actually ended up playing. I guess because it's an Annapurna interactive game as well. So I don't want to spoil too much of it, but at the same time, I wouldn't really recommend this game, funnily enough. It's a good example, in my opinion, of a point-and-click adventure game, sort of executed suboptimally. The reason why is because when you like click on stuff and there's lots of like time taken for each option to complete its animations, and then the number of options that you can do is quite limited, and they expect you to click on certain things that you would go, oh, like I spent like about a couple of hours looking around, and then I accidentally hovered over an object to reveal it, and I was like, oh, that's there. But it should have been, like, it's one of those things that they assumed I would notice from the beginning. But it took me a couple of hours to notice it, and then, yeah, basically I unlocked a new stage of the game. But it's like, I don't know, it just felt very, not very good. It felt kind of awkward, which is kind of sad because, like, you know, it had good atmosphere at times. But even then, when you have, like, cinematics within your game and you try to make it, like, you try to be show off about it, and then there was like certain scenes where you can't skip, even though you can skip other scenes, and they're long and they repeat the same thing, and it's like, oh, it felt like it was just trying to show off some things and pad length and stuff like that, because it's not a very complex game either. I was expecting a much more complex, you know, game for the price that it's at. It's like $33 in my country, but like, yeah, I was kind of disappointed by this one, but it was almost like, oh, I could see how this concepts could be so much better. But yeah, that was my experience with 12 minutes.
Hearing you describe that reminds me of my experience with the game Indigo Prophecy. You may better know it as Fahrenheit.
Yeah,
that was a game but that was basically that was basically missed opportunities, the game for me.
Yeah. I've heard things about, you know, David Cage games and stuff like that.
I don't trust David Cage anymore.
Yeah. I've heard things about the, there's some awkwardness in it, apparently, like awkward storytelling, and just because they occupy a cinematic adventure niche that draws a lot of people in, but like, you need, for example, like a big budget to do all that voice acting and CG cutscenes and stuff. And because they're the only one doing it, or like in that particular way, well, I guess there's Life is Strange and other types of, which probably I've heard do it better. But it's like, it probably suffers from the same thing where someone's trying to be all cinematic and like combine the two, cinema with games, in a way that's quote unquote revolutionary, but it really ends up being awkward at some points. And I don't think that Life is Strange has a love scene involving a dead person. So. Oh, what? Sheesh. I've never heard that. Wow. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I still haven't played Life is Strange though, so I really need to play that. Apparently it's very good. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard good things about it. Was I allowed to say that on the podcast?
Well, I don't have any rules. I haven't thought about it yet. I'll get back to you. No, just kidding. It's good. It's good to be. And there's also my other game is Golf with Your Friends, which is like, it's in the title. It's like mini golf with your friends, and it's online, and it's actually very kind of fun. Like, it was a fun, you know, during lockdown that I'm having to just play it with some of my friends. It's like a casual game where there's cute competition, but it doesn't get too bitter, you know? Sometimes you can play competitive games online and bitterness rises, and it becomes more about, like, trying to one-up each other. But Golf with Your Friends is the sort of one where if you, like, bop each other off a course, you know, it's you start laughing at how ridiculous it is. And it's very difficult to get bitter because the courses are so short. Anyway, that's my experience with it. Some people might have bitter rivalries over it, but it's been just a lot of fun. There's like massive courses that are really well themed and well lit, and there's this version where you can click to make your ball jump, so we try and make them jump over these massive, like, do big shortcuts and stuff. It's just been really fun to play. I recommend this game highly. I really loved it.
Sounds like a grand old time.
Yeah, it is.
My experience with any sort of golf games are limited to Nintendo 64 Mario Golf.
Oh, that's the good stuff.
Which I exclusively, as I'm looking at the trailer for this, I exclusively played the mini golf version of that, so...
Right.
Wow, I'm blanking on its English name, which is stupid, because I've only ever played it in English.
Oh, what's this one?
Kirby Bowl... what is Kirby's
Kirby.
Dream Course? Wow,
Oh,
how did
wow,
I
yeah.
forget that? I've played that. I've found a way. My friend found a way that we can play it online, and
Oh, wow.
that is one we do kind of get a bitter rivalry in.
That
Because, like,
seems
the object
really
is,
like frustrating sometimes. Like, I've seen videos of it where like there's a golf ball slowly making its way off the edge and like just like teetering over the edge. I see people like rage quit, like go absolutely crazy.
Yeah, with Kirby's Dream Course, like, the whole thing is, of course, since it's Kirby themed, like, you can pick up copy abilities by bouncing into an enemy, and you can take your opponent's one by bouncing into them. So it's just kind of like a war of just slamming it back into each other, and you're like, I want Spark! No, I want Spark!
It's like siblings fighting over a game or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, but I mean the game, the visual style of Kirby's Dream Course looks really good, but I could also see how certain mechanics just are very unfriendly in terms of like killing off your characters or all that kind of. But yeah, I need to try that anyway. I would like to try that one. Multiplayer mode.
So on a scale of golf with your friends to Mario Party, how much does Kirby's Dream Course destroy friendships?
Right.
I'd say it's closer to golf with friends. There's nothing that destroys... Except for maybe playing Mario Kart and being the person to pick Rainbow Road, there's nothing that destroys friendships like Mario Party.
It's called a road, it's called a Rainbow Road.
Dang, yeah. So yeah, golf with your friends. It's if you want a friendly competition, and I think the part of it is because it's so short. That's another one, is because like it's very brief. It takes about 10 minutes for a whole course. So if you start losing, it's like, oh well, it's going to be over soon. So yeah, that's that. Meaka, what games have you been playing lately? Maybe.
Well, I've been playing two, kind of on and off, one on my Switch and then one through Steam. Both of which are kind of like recent remasters of 2010 games-ish. The first is I recently completed the story mode of Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. And it is with saying that I realize I'm bringing a lot of things with the letter X in the title, which is unique.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
One could say that you're really feeling the letter X.
Thank you. Yes, before I played Xenoblade, my entire knowledge of the character of Shulk, besides when he was announced for Smash 4, and I was like, how is that? Now I'm just like, it's Shulk! And then I play Ultimate, and I'll see, like, the Ricky assist trophy, and I'm like, it's Hero Pawn Ricky! But Xenoblade was very interesting for me because I'm not used to it. Uses a sort of real-time combat mechanic, but you don't actually push buttons to attack. It's like a auto attack.
Oh.
That sounds kind of like how they do it in Dragon Age.
It might be similar. My friend helped me out because when I first started playing it, I didn't understand it. I'm like, I feel like I should be pushing buttons, but I shouldn't unless I want to use arts, which are like their skills. And they described it as, think of it like you're playing an MMO and you're just kind of auto attack. And that helped me at least get the style of it down. It's still, I feel like I'm not very good at that because I just my instinct is I want to push button.
Yeah.
Sorry. Other than
Yeah.
that, it's just, I don't know, I found it fun. I mean, it's kind of JRPG fun, but not really. And then it's related to the Xenosaga series and Xenogears loosely, which I don't have experience with those, but apparently those go kind of wild and crazy, which Xenoblade starts to do. Like, once you hit the middle, there's a part where you're just like, it's funny, Smash Man, he's really feeling it, haha. Wait, what? And I'm just... it's just it's a lot of fun, and it kind of does that, like, a kick in the teeth, but you kind of thank them for it.
It's a brisk way to put it.
My favorite type of game, honestly.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard this game touted for its like gorgeous environments, its fantastic score. I've actually heard the score without even playing the game. It's got a glorious score, like rising sort of amazing score. If I'm thinking of the right game, just like this feeling of exploration and like wide spaces. I think that was one of the things that was also quite unique about it was traveling across massive spaces that might not have been like in JRPGs the norm to do, where you're like walking, big fields and that kind of thing, right?
It's apparently it is. People do say it's more along the lines of like Western style RPGs in terms of like how much wide berth of area and the side quests. Because I will drag myself right here and say I think if you check my Switch, it says I have like 200 hours in this game.
Wow.
Because I just went and did like all of the side content and just there's so much you can do, and of course it's all optional. You can go as deep into it as you want, and I also kind of like that. Yeah,
I'm looking on howlongtobeat.com, and it says main story 51.5 hours, main and extra 79.5 hours, completionist 133 hours. So it's like, I mean, but then like maybe completionist doesn't completely mean like 100%. It's like, it's like, you went the full, like, full way. Obviously very happy with all the content.
Yeah, to be fair, I'm also one of those people that really gets distracted by doing, like, extra stuff that does not matter at all. So, like, there's a mechanic that's basically just increasing your, like, affection with party members by giving them little, like, gift items that you pick up. And I would just be like, alright, I need to keep, like, going back to places and getting gift items to give people.
You took your time with the game.
That was me when I was playing Three Houses. I gotta make my party members happy.
Yeah.
Who wants to see the horrors of war? I want to have a tea party with Dimitri.
Heck yeah! Give that boy his chamomile tea. He needs to calm down.
I have played like one Fire Emblem game, and it was the first one they released in the US, and I am not good at them, which is also a good segue into my second game, because it's also a tactical RPG. I've been playing on Steam, Disgaea 4 Complete Plus, I think is the full title. It's Disgaea 4, but fancier, which is, if you're familiar at all with the Disgaea series, it's like isometric grid. Like I said, similar in Fire Emblem, that you kind of like put like your units on the map and move them around and have them attack. It doesn't really have the rock, paper, scissors mechanic that Fire Emblem has that I know of. I don't know, I find it a lot of fun. It's one of those games that's definitely, like, it doesn't take itself seriously, so neither should you. It's just I've been having a lot of fun with it, and it's one of those games that's just fun to kind of like lose yourself and grind. There's a thing called the item world, where every single item in the game generates like its own randomly generated dungeon that you can go through.
Wow.
And it's just, you can just... I've spent a lot of time in that, and I've just been having a lot of fun with it.
When they say explore your inventory, they didn't really think about it, literally, right? explore your inventory.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, go through each dungeon. No.
Yeah.
You want 100% completion? Well, good luck. You're gonna have to work for it.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's not like that. I think you have to complete every item ever, but I don't know. It's definitely not a game I'm gonna 100% complete because, well, like I said with the Fire Emblem stuff, I'm not really good at strategy RPGs because my entire strategy is go up to them, punch, run.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it generally works in real life. No, it doesn't. Okay, but
It could if you run really fast.
fair enough. On howlongtobeat.com, it has Disgaea 4 Complete Plus, main story 37 hours, main plus extra 74.5 hours, completionist 268 hours. So,
Yeah.
That's a big jump.
yeah.
Yeah, they also, what I find really interesting about it is it gives you the option to just completely skip the story. Like, story events, before you enter it, it gives you the option to just skip them. And, like,
Wow.
the automatic thing when you finish the story level is to skip the cutscene. And it's like, skip. Do you want to? Yes, no. And obviously, since I'm going through it, I'm just like, I want to see it, yes. But I think it's very interesting. So, like, if someone's like, this gameplay's fun, but I'm not feeling the story, you can just kind of forget it and go on.
Interesting. Wow. Yeah. And it's not like the type of it's not like an RPG where you have to figure out where you need to go next and stuff, and you have to use story context clues or anything like that. It's just like follow the path, I guess, right?
Yeah. It honestly is also kind of vaguely reminds me of an MMO because you have a hub base and then there's a character that you need to talk to that takes you to each, like, map that the story-based battles are on.
Right.
So it's sort of, there's no like, oh, but how will I know that I need to go here when I thought I had to go here? But
the structure guides you along, sort of thing.
yes.
Yeah. Excellent. Wow, yeah, I mean, I need to play both those games, and then I'll have my 500 hours done. No. But there's good games to get lost in.
I wish getting a professional certification was in collecting hours for those was as easy as playing video games.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds great. Yeah. Excellent. Thanks for bringing those games, Meaka. How about you, Queenie? What games have you been playing lately? Maybe.
So more on the maybe side in that I haven't played this particular version of this game yet because I just recently managed to get my hands on a PS5 and I never had a PS4. So I was waiting to get a PS5 so I didn't have to buy a whole other system to also play PS4 games. The Nier Replicant remaster, I am super excited to start playing. I've been following it since it's been announced. I am a big fan of the original Nier, which we got the Gestalt version in the US, the one with the dad, and then this one is the one with the younger kid as the protagonist. I kind of have a soft spot for the dad, so I'm kind of sad that we don't get an option to play as him. But maybe if it reaches 2.5 million views, Yoko Taro said they might put him in. So
right. I have a question.
Maybe, fingers crossed.
I have a question.
Yeah?
Why is it version 1.22474487139? What's the significance of the long version name? Is there,
Yeah, it's because it's the I believe it is the square root of oh gosh, it's the square root of I think the number 2. So they didn't want to call it 2.0. But because there was an interview where they were talking about why the title is the way that it is, but it's I think the square root of the number 2, and if I'm wrong,
it's the square root of the number 1.5 apparently.
1.5. Okay, yeah. So now everybody in the comments is gonna make fun of me. but yeah, they didn't want to call it version 1.5 or something like that. So they went with the long title, and also because Yoko Taro is a mad genius, and pretty much everything he does is extremely questionable, but it also somehow works.
Right.
Like, and he never takes himself too seriously, so he's basically one of my game developer icons. Like,
so basically, he's kind of similar to Hideo Kojima in that way a little bit. He does his auteur kind of thing.
He just kind of does his own thing, and he doesn't really care what people think about him. And then he makes public appearances wearing a goofy mask, and then sometimes he hides snacks in the mask and everything.
Wow.
Yeah, he's a real character. But I was a bit late to the party playing the original Nier. But I was really drawn to it just because of how quirky it was. Well, it's quirky, but it's also a really sad game. It's a very emotional game. But it's also got, moments of quirkiness in it. And it has probably one of the best game soundtracks of all time.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've listened to it. It's fantastic. Like, it's funny. I've listened probably more video game soundtracks than I need to play the games that they're from, but I just listened to them, and this one was gorgeous.
That's valid. That is totally valid. I listen to OSTs of games that I've never played, but seriously, it's absolutely gorgeous. Like, I find myself singing Nier songs almost every day. Okay.
Yeah.
even with their their garbledy-gook lyrics, their gibberish lyrics.
Oh, I've heard about that. Yeah. They have a different language or something that they've made the lyrics are in.
Yeah, the lead singer, Emmy Evans, is a polyglot, and so she kind of takes elements of different languages and smashes them all together to make something that sounds really nifty but doesn't mean a darn thing. But yeah, the soundtrack is great, the story is great, the characters are great. And why I was so excited about the remaster was there were a lot of gameplay flaws that I feel like kind of held back the original Nier. Like, after a certain point in the game, it became way too easy. Like, ridiculously easy, to the point where combat could actually be kind of boring because of how easy it was. But like, they've added a hard mode for this version, and they've changed up the combat mechanics to be more dynamic. And they said it's kind of a mix between the original games and then the combat style of Nier Automata. So I'm really excited to experience that. And then there's also some new story content that kind of ties the original to Automata, which is great because I plan on playing Automata for the first time right after that.
Wow, yeah, you're gonna go hard on the Nier series. For
I'm gonna Nier out.
Yeah, Nier out.
I will go nearly insane.
Hell yeah.
It's fantastic.
So this is where Randy gets it.
Yeah. Excellent. I've just heard fantastic things about this game, how it kind of experiments with flavor as well. Yeah, like sort of just does, I was going to say weird things, but yeah, like things that may seem weird on the surface, and then it's like, it has some sort of thematic resonance. So yeah, it works. Yeah, which is sort of how I describe, like, why I guess I mentioned Hideo Kojima as well, because they do a similar thing where they bring all these weird, disparate elements together, and somehow it creates this vision that's like, oh, why does that? I think it's the underlying story function that I've yet to play it, but I'd assume that usually when I see things that don't seem to work together, but they do, it's because there's something underneath it, some message or some clear thing that's happening underneath that may not seem like visible on the surface, but and this goes for game development for us as well. I feel like people can sometimes put things together and not really know what their game is about, but if you know what your game is about, sometimes the textural details on top can be experimented with, as long as the core message and the core kind of flavor of your game has something important to it and has something that works, I guess, you know.
Exactly. Yeah, that's kind of the philosophy of game development that I try to incorporate into my own games, because they're also a little bit of a mishmash of different genres and different elements and things like that. And I am kind of an anxious person by nature, and so it inspires me to try and be less self-conscious and just do what I want to do and not care too terribly much what other people think about it, you know?
Exactly. That resonates with me. Yeah, totally. Excellent. So those are the games we've been playing. Maybe some of us have played them. Some of us want to play them, but just go ahead and try them all. Well, I'd say maybe don't try 12 minutes unless you want to, you want to see, you're curious what it's, how Benny has some gripes with the game. Play golf with your friends, I recommend it. Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, Disgaea 4 Complete Plus, and Nier Replicant version 1. Blah, 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 blah. All right. Yeah, that long number, whatever it is. Okay, square root of 1.5. There we go. Excellent. So yeah, go play those games. If you want to come back after 500 years, and then we'll go into we're going to kind of transition from there. We've been talking about other games and filtering it through our personal experiences and opinions, but now we're going to go into our guests, sort of them and how they make games and the development. Hopefully we're warmed up to those those experiences and those opinions. So we're going to go into our next section, which is topics we must discuss, because this is a podcast and it's serious. Welcome to the section. We're just this is part of the podcast where we ask the serious questions. Sorry, there's a bit of an echo there. I haven't got it fixed yet. So we've got a few questions here. We're going to ask our guests here, Meaka and Queenie, about how they make games, because they make games. And I will be honest and upfront, I have not played either of your games yet, but you were recommended to me by fans of your work. So I know that a lot of listeners will be happy to hear from you, and I'm going to be playing both of Meaka and Queenie's games for the first time this Friday at 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. EST, so we're going to be playing their games and having a lot of fun, giving about 3 hours each, so whoever, whatever comes first. But yeah. Anyway, here's the part I ask serious questions about origins, about how they make games, and I'm going to ask whoever wants to go first, how did you come about making games? If it's RPG Maker, how did you discover the engine? Or if it's another engine, how did you discover that one? And what's your general story when it comes to creating things like this?
All right. So I actually started playing around on RPG Maker when I was in middle school. So this would be about, I would say, 2003-ish.
Right.
And this was before RPG Maker was even officially licensed in the US.
Yeah.
So I was playing on a bootleg version of RPG Maker 2000. I don't know if, I don't know how old you are, but back then that was pretty much the only way we could play RPG Maker in English.
Same. That's how I began as well. Don Miguel's translation.
Don Miguel.
Yeah, I've had Don Miguel on the podcast as well, so if anyone wants to check that episode out, so good.
Nice.
Yeah, she's good. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Shout outs.
Tell him I said thanks, bro.
Yeah, I will. I try. He said.
So anyway, so I would play around in that, and I actually had a friend and myself. We would play around in it and kind of send games back and forth to each other. And so that's how I became familiar with the engine. And then fast forward about 10 years, and I have graduated high school, and I have graduated undergrad. And one day I was just like, you know what? I want to go back to RPG Maker. I want to actually make a game. And I had also been playing some of the classic RPG horror stuff like Ebe and Yumaniki and The Witch's House, all those games. And I was like, I used to love this engine when I was younger. I need to go back to it. So I got my hands on RPG Maker VX Ace, and I started making Prom Dreams. Kind of as my love letter to the RPG Maker horror genre, and as kind of a big middle finger letter to my high school experiences.
Right. That's great. VX Ace, right? And that's like, that's got the scripts and everything. It was a little bit later on, like Eben Yume but still inspired by those games, right?
Yeah, a little bit. There's a lot of the exploration aspect in Prom Dreams, although it's much more narrative driven.
Right.
It's a lot of people compare it to Doki Doki Literature Club in that it's a dating sim game with horror elements and other small similarities. Although I do have to remind people that Prom Dreams came out first.
Yes. Tell them.
But the comparisons aren't in a bad way. Like right. I was really afraid that people would accuse me of ripping off DDLC, especially if I move forward with my plans to remake Prom Dreams. Right. But I really haven't seen that as much. That's just more my own anxiety making up scenarios. Long story short, if you like DDLC, if you like exploration type things, if you like cutesy games that turn into something horrific, play Prom Dreams. Because that was my first game. And it's not a very pretty game because unlike Meaka, I can't draw. So...
but you can make some really great tunes.
This is true. And then after that, I had another idea for a game. I had a couple of ideas for my next game, and I actually bounced ideas back and forth with another friend of mine. And eventually I settled on the idea that would become Turo Vero. And so then I spent the next 2 years working on that.
And that would be more like, that would have some horror things, but also a different direction, right?
Yeah, a little bit of a different direction. So it's more of a traditional JRPG, but it has kind of light horror elements and kind of a mysterious and macabre backstory that you would expect from kind of an RPG horror type thing. It's definitely a lot less graphic. So I think my age recommendation for Prom Dreams was 16 and up, but my age recommendation for Turo Vero is 14 and up. So it's good if you want something that's kind of a psychodrama, thriller sort of thing, but you're not real huge on scares, there's no jump scares or anything. It just gets spooky sometimes.
Right. Yeah. And is it, is there a reason, because you want that spooky kind of aspect to it? Actually, I might ask that later, because I think that might be, because Meaka also creates games that have a little, sometimes dark atmosphere. So I might ask that later. I'll put that down in my notes. But I was going to ask a question. But and that's your story. Is there anything else to your story that you'd like to sort of, any details that, people would want to know about how you came to make games?
No, not really on how I came to make games, no.
Okay, cool. Excellent. How about yourself, Meaka?
Mine is not quite as long back as Queenie's. We're roughly the same age. I think Queenie's like a year or two older than me. But I didn't find out about RPG Maker until around, I want to say, whenever Yume Nikki got its like first English translations. So like 2008, 2009. I was still in high school. That's the only reason I remember. And I remember just looking up all this stuff about it and being like so amazed that like, oh my goodness, one person made this whole game and it's so mysterious and unique. But at the time, I was in high school and I wasn't really allowed to buy things online that cost cash dollar.
Right.
And so I just kind of forgot about it. Yeah. And then by the time when in like 2011, 2012, when like there was the resurgence of RPG Maker horror, and then there was Ebe, The Witch's House, the game's VG person translated, and then some English language ones also as well. I was like, I'm an adult with money now. I'm gonna buy RPG Maker and make games. And so I didn't use Steam sales, which is a mistake. So I bought I didn't want to spend the like full 60, I think at that point that VX Ace was. So I bought XP, which is mixed blessings. I have my complaints with it, but I know it can do good things. It's just I struggle, and sometimes it does really weird things that I'm sure other engines have their own quirks. It's just since I'm more familiar with XP, I'm kind of like, well, I wish I would have known about this thing that it does before I started doing it.
The struggle is real.
Yeah, exactly. And I just wanted to ask, are you still making games right now? Are you continuing to sort of develop games, or are you having a little bit of a hiatus, or?
I have been trying. I'm at the point of like needing to write things, so it's not really anything I can share because showing screen caps of like a Google Doc isn't nearly as exciting as being like, hey guys, look at my cool little pixel art here.
Look at my story structure diagram.
Oh, don't you want to see my notes bulletins that are just like a bunch of question marks?
You want to see my to-dos within the to-do must add character name.
Essentially, there's so many things in my notes that are just like a character role in brackets to fill in with a name that I need to come up with eventually. Yeah, because I think my last big release was the remaster of Living Playground in 2018. And then I did something for the Dream Diary Jam in 2020, which was basically a game jam where the goal was to create a Yume Nikki fan game, whether that be like a Yume Nikki fan game in the sense of making something in the style of Yume Nikki, or making like, I don't know, Marotsuki goes to Taco Bell. Or something.
I want to play that.
I think that's just the opening of Dream Diary, like the Steam version. But
if you had a chance to...
Matatsuki gets the Big Crunch Supreme item. Turns into a giant taco.
Marotsuki gets Baja blasted.
Wow. And I just wanted to ask also, if you had a chance, I don't know if do you still use XP, or have you gone to another engine now?
I have, ever since like Steam sales have been blessings, I have 2003, which recently was $2. So definitely wait for Steam sales, kids. I have 2003 XP, VX Ace, which is what I did my Dream Diary Jam game in. So I'm like feeling out that one. And I also have MV, which I'm also trying to feel out, but I know it has like those memory leak issues, which from my understanding have been mostly fixed. But I am fascinated by MV's ability to more easily do like mouse things.
It's very
because,
complex.
Yes. Like, for instance, I think the big one that uses, like, a mouse touch interface would be Your Turn to Die Right Now, which is, like, it's very reminiscent of point-and-click games, which fascinates me, because I used to play Monkey Island all the time as a little child, so...
Right. Yeah,
I would love to kind of explore that genre of game making, even though I'm sure there are better engines than RPG Maker, but RPG Maker's what I know, so I'm sticking with it.
Yeah. Work with what you got. There's some sort of charm to that as well, like the limitations and the niche as well, and also you can just it just requires more workarounds, but hey, you can get there. It's a unique flavor, you know.
It's also a big middle finger at all the snobs who think think that RPG Maker can't be used to make good games.
Exactly. Yeah.
My game creation fuel is spite.
Yeah.
It's the most powerful one of all.
Yeah. And this is speaking for, like, I love RPG Maker as an engine. I'm not, like, snobbish with it, though, but, like, I because, for instance, my next game I'm making will be in Unity, but, like, I still very much love the RPG Maker engine, but there's just a certain charm to it, I think, is that to using it, and within the limitations, people can kind of expand deeper into other aspects, because the more you limit something, the more it sometimes forces people to go in a different direction, so I feel that's the way that it's gone with RPG Maker at the moment. Story-based, like 2D sort of story-based, this perspective, they've really sort of gone into that, and you don't have to worry too much about a lot of the implementation details of making something 3D and, you know, shaders and everything, but it's like, hey, and then they can focus on things like story and like pace, you know, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's still quirks, but hey, you know, you do what you need to do. Yeah. And how about, like, I'll transition to the next question, which is sort of like what favorite kinds of games and other media. I'm actually going to ask a more specific question, which was the one I thought about before. You both sort of, I don't want to assume anything, do you describe your games as like, as dark or atmospheric or horror in general? Or do those apply to your games?
Well, for me, I think I usually preface it by, like, saying it's horror flavoring.
Right.
Because I just kind of like, I guess, the atmosphere and the style of the macabre. I'm not really going out of my way to scare people.
Right.
I just kind of like spooky stuff, so I go with what I like. And, I mean, if it happens to be scary, then so be it. But I wouldn't actively call my games scary. I don't think anyone's screaming at anything that happens in anything in my games. Yeah.
It's like kind of like that in a sense, more of sometimes dread, you know, that you can play around with, or a little fear under. Because I feel like if a horror game is described is kind of quantified by how much it scares you, then it's kind of like, okay, how much can I scare the player? But it's more like this is like a kind of you're focusing on story first and the function underneath, and then the flavoring is what you like, and it's sort of creating a story from those elements, I guess, right?
Yes, that would be accurate for me.
I like to...
Queenie?
Well, first of all, I want to say that I like to think of Meeka's games as like a kind of a Halloween flavored games.
Right.
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah, because most people think of Halloween as, you know, it's spooky, but in a charming way, in a nostalgic way.
Right, yeah.
In a way that's slightly goofy, which Meeka's games certainly are, at least the one that I played.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can't, a game that has a giant talking pickle, it isn't going to be one to take itself too terribly seriously, you know?
Yeah. And it's funny, sometimes that absurdity of concepts can kind of complement horror as well. Like
surreal
that
elements.
Sort of, like the feeling of like weirdness. Oh, that's unexpected. I feel like both comedy and horror sort of thrive off the unexpected, and I feel like subverting expectations. So that's why there's a lot of horror comedies that actually work really well.
Yeah.
And also they're contrasting tones, but they both surprise the player. So it's like kind of like playing on your expectations. So I feel like sometimes horror, people can laugh at it because it's connected to the same bone. I guess the funny bone and the scary bone.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. The funny bone's connected to the scary bone.
Scary bone. Yeah. And so do you have any like? There's the next question about what favorite kind of media you like to? Does that kind of influence the type of games you create?
Yeah. So going back to the other question, Prom Dreams, definitely full out horror game.
Right.
It's got the blood, it's got the guts, it's got the a couple of jump scares. I did try to be judicious with them though. And it's got all that, all that stuff that some people might think is a little intense. And then Turovero, I think, is more it's a lot more subtle in its horror. But it definitely has a lot of it definitely has a lot of emotional elements. It has a lot of it deals, without going into too much spoiler territory, it deals with a lot of trauma and overcoming trauma, and how tragedies can inform the bonds between people. So there's definitely a lot of heavy stuff there, but I wouldn't call it horror per se. And really, that kind of, in terms of what I am influenced by, I'm kind of a grab bag of influences, sort of. And so not each game that I make is probably going to be a little bit different from the last one. Like, yeah, I'll make horror games, but I'll also make games that maybe aren't quite as scary. But I do really like games and like anime and movies and stuff that are a lot more than what they appear to be on the surface. So there's a lot of inspiration from games like Dreaming Mary or Eversion. I don't know if y'all remember Eversion.
No.
It's essentially a cute little platformer that slowly turns into Lovecraftian horror as it goes along.
Wow.
So yeah, so look up Eversion. It's really fun and it's free. But then there's also other shows like Puella Magi Madoka Magica was a big influence for Turovero. I don't know if it's really that obvious, but just the concept of a magical adventure gone horribly, horribly wrong, sort of thing.
Right.
So there's a lot of influence of that. A lot of influence from like psychological horror games like Silent Hill, things like that, that kind of inform, a lot of the games that I make are informed around characters' psyches or traumas and things like that. And so that's definitely an influence from those sorts of psychological horror, psychological thriller type media.
Yeah. Meaka, is it? What about yourself? What type of media would inspire you?
I mean, I have a wide variety of different inspirations, whether them being like artistic or I guess storytelling wise. When I was one of the things that got me to draw like initially was the Powerpuff Girls when I was little.
Right,
that was like
I
my
can see
big
that.
thing, and I was
Yeah.
I was really inspired by Craig McCracken's work and also Gendy Tartakovsky with Dexter's Lab.
Oh,
so
yeah.
that kind of stuff really was what kind of inspired me to pick up the pencil and start doodling things. And then for gameplay wise, it's kind of a mishmash of whatever I'm feeling. I would say I do kind of fall into the, definitely you can tell, oh, this is inspired by Eve, or inspired by Yume Nikki, or inspired by, I don't know, something.
Yeah.
Off. No, not Off. I love Off, but it's not one of my major inspirations, though I do think Mortis Ghost has amazing character design.
It's true. Yeah, it's true. It's funny
and
how
it's a
like,
great
Off
soundtrack
is...
too. Great soundtrack too.
Oh yeah.
Oh, the soundtrack is great.
Another episode. Go check out the Mortis Ghost episode. Anyway, yes. Yeah, but yes, it's kind of hard to emulate Off as well because it's such a lightning in a bottle thing. People try it, but it's just it's very difficult tone to kind of pull off.
Yeah, and my other inspirations are quite obviously I'm very inspired by the Kirby series because it again is one of those things that I really like genre shifts where something starts one way and then just becomes another, because most people point to the most obvious Kirby example is Zero from Kirby's Dream Land 3, which is like, oh, look at this cute pastel game and the final boss is a giant eyeball that shoots blood at you. And you're like, okay. But like that's been one of my major inspirations, and then people always kind of give me a look, or at least are like, huh? But one of my other inspirations is Hatomoa, the creator of Hatable Boyfriend, and its Christmas spinoff, Holiday Star, because it's one, like, everyone's like, it's the pigeon dating game, but it's actually, I say without any irony that I've cried every time I've ever played it, because it's one of those games where it doesn't seem like you're like, oh, having a fun little time, and then all of a sudden it'll just emotionally train wreck you, and I'm just like, I'm crying at stock images of birds.
Yes, I love that kind of thing. It really does demonstrate that it's all about the function underneath the texture, in my opinion. Like, you can put texture on top that highlights the function, but if you have the characters, the story, the underlying things sorted out, then the texture will sort it, you can put other things on top of it to enhance it. But it's something like that where it's like you got birds, but they got good characterization, story, arcs, motivations, and plot, and then it's just like, oh well, they could be birds, it doesn't need to it doesn't necessarily need to be texturally this or that. It's actually, this can be an emotional game with stock images of birds as the as the it doesn't matter. It's like it's the characters that count.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I was also going to note it on like Gendy Tartakovsky's stuff of like Dexter's Lab, and also Samurai Jack and stuff. That like the angular lines, the sort of the stretchy animations, and the humor as well. And there's a little bit of macabre in there as well, with the kind of Dexter's always getting in trouble, and they're pointing like weapons at each other. Like, I don't know. It's like it's very. It's sort of like Roadrunner-esque, kind of like, I got to catch somebody who's making my day horrible. But yeah, anyway, it's but then how that translates into your games, I'll be curious to play Living Playground I think Living Playground, we'll see which game I'm playing, but very curious to see how that plays out. I have one more question. I think you two have collaborated before, right?
Yes.
Yes. And how have you two known each other for a while already, or just collaborated at one time?
So I believe.
Go ahead.
If you want to go, oh, okay. So it started that I played Prom Dreams completely separate of knowing Queenie. I had just seen it on RMN and thought, this looks sweet. I played it for 11 hours, not straight, but like over the course of some days. And I was like, this game is amazing. I need everybody to know how much I love Prom Dreams. And so I followed, like, Queenie on some social medias, and I believe it was on Tumblr when Queenie was starting, like, the outlines of Turovero, that she was like, I need some artists for, like, the characters and the monster design for the fights. And so I contacted Queenie to be like, I really love Prom Dreams. And I submitted my portfolio, and while what I had wasn't really in one of the niches for, like, the character art or the monster art, Queenie was like, well, I like your cutout stuff, which is sort of a style that's in Prom Dreams. So
not nearly as good, though.
She asked me to... I thought it was very charming. It looked like a high schooler's, like, it looked like someone's prom scrapbook. But coated in blood.
Yeah!
And, so from there, we just kind of connected, and then we just collaborated, and that's why we know each other.
Fantastic. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, it all started because I can't draw. So I asked the help of other people who can draw, and Meaka happened to be one of those people. And
yes.
And I am actually I haven't gotten to the point where I am where I've gotten all the art pieces that I need, kind of set up and listed out so that I can order it. I'm actually planning on finishing most of the game first.
Yeah.
But I am planning on, and Meaka knows this, I am planning on getting Meaka to do some more artwork for an upcoming visual novel that I'm doing in Renpai. So a little bit different.
Right. Oh, wow. Awesome. Yeah, it sounds fantastic. Yeah, and it's also that sort of thing, like, you already had a game that you could point at. Well, that sort of, that's my experience. This is a good thing for developers to realize is a good way to bring teams together that I've seen is to first make a game, complete it. It doesn't have to be amazing, or it can just be something that's complete, and or art or whatever you're good at, music. So you have something to show. Before asking, for ideas or teams. Sometimes people go straight into the team mindset because they're afraid to make something by themselves. But I would reckon, because you already had something, you already had Prom Dreams to point to, and Meaka gravitated to it, that because they like the game, and you'll gravitate people to your game to work with you who like your stuff, who like your style, and who probably would work well with you because they like your story writing and the way that you do things. It's not necessarily guaranteed, but I would say it's much more likely if someone plays your game and enjoys it and is a fan of it, that you'll get along well. Anyway, that's what my personal that's how I've seen it work for successful teams, I guess. It doesn't always work, but it's not a be all and end all. Sometimes it can go badly, but hey, yeah.
Sometimes it can go the way of the group project in high school.
Yeah, okay. I will admit that the whole team dynamic thing, the whole teamwork thing is such a Pandora's box of problems that deserves its own podcast to discover, like how to work well together in games, especially online, maybe it's not even just online, but just like making, I reckon a big part of it is just selecting the right people. That's one of the, it's almost always the thing that seems to let it down, because in school projects you don't select who you want to work with, right? Yeah.
Yep.
You just sort of yeah. But you have the power to select who you want to be in your team, or you can just be like, hey, anyone who likes my stuff? Yeah, I like your stuff. Okay, work with me. Cool. Yeah, it's awesome. All right, so we'll move on to the question box. This is a segment where RPG Maker community users ask questions related to game development and design that we probably don't know the answers to, but we'll try. Flair Blitzed from Twitter asks, what's the biggest hurdle you've faced when writing up the story of your respective games? Happy 20... Well, this was written in... this was for the previous podcast. I must admit, some of these were for the previous podcast that I brought in. It says, Happy 2021 to all of yous. But that was written in January when we were supposed to have the podcast in the first place. So, Happy 2021, Flair Blitzed says to us when we're almost nearing the end of it. But anyway, what's the biggest hurdle you faced? yeah, exactly.
I hope the first 9 months of the year have been kind to you, Flair.
Yeah, same.
So, what's the biggest hurdle you've faced when writing up the story of your respective games?
You want to go first, Meaka?
Sure. So I think my hurdle is that I don't really consider myself a writer, in that
Right.
I have a hard time writing prose. I just think it kind of comes out stilted and awkward. I'm much more of a visual person, as you can tell by the fact that most of my stuff is visual and art-based.
Mm-hmm.
So, for me, the hardest part is getting, like, what I want into words themselves, because I look at text documents and I just kind of slap things together and I'm like, oh, I hope this comes out all right.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes that's what it's like though. Writing is just like putting words on paper and hoping, but like you iterate it and you criticize. Do you find it hard to criticize your own work? Like to figure out what works and what doesn't, or?
I think, yes. My problem is I tend to really criticize my own work, which everyone's their own worst critic. But I'll sit there and I'll contemplate something for like 12 hours. Well, not exactly, but I'll just mull over like really, really inconsequential details. I'll be like, oh no, does this flavor text sound alright? When it's like, there's a chance the player won't even look at that object at all because it's unnecessary.
And I think, this is my personal opinion, it might not be shared by everyone, but when someone says, I'm my own worst critic, I think what sometimes people mean is I am the most emotionally invested in my own game's flaws. Sometimes that's what I feel like it is. Because someone can be very critical of your game, more critical than you are, but even the slightest negative thing can cut deep because we care about our game so much. That's my personal opinion of, like, sometimes it is true that, you hate your game the most out of anyone in this world, but there might be a person who hates it more than you do, but they don't care as much about it as you do. That's my experience anyway.
I would say that's fair to say, because I'm sure there are people who see, like, that I'm the guest on this podcast and are like, oh, why are they on there? They haven't made any good games. And, fair. But, like, if there's just, especially when you do, like Queenie said that Prom Dreams was, like, a hate letter to high school, where, like, when you're writing from somewhere of deep personal connection, that, like, when somebody points out, like, I don't know about that, and you're just like, oh,
that's my soul, it is very much that. I've encountered so much of that in the creator world, where it's like, it's a good, because games being personal, I personally love games that are personal. You can tell, and also you have to channel something of yourself, not just something of yourself, your time, your efforts, your soul, you put it into your game, and that's why you're so emotionally invested in your game that when, even if you try to stop it, I'm going to try and be objective when someone criticizes my game, and then when they do, it's like, you little, it's and it makes sense as well to our psyche because we've invested so much into it. So I think personally, it's just like, I think it's just good to recognize ourselves, to be like, I care about my work more than anybody, possibly more than anybody else on this earth, and that's why it hurts so much. And I guess that's the realization that I think sometimes when someone gives a negative review of a game, to them it's just something they've played once and given a star rating to. They don't care about it too much, usually, unless they really start loving it, but that really hurts the developer because they put their soul and their months and their sleepless nights into it. So it's so unbalanced. It's a gift. I say every game's a gift because you're giving of your soul, you're giving of your time to someone. And I try to treat every game as a gift. Sometimes I'm overcritical, but hey.
I mean, to be fair, not all gifts are great. So
Yeah.
and I'm just like, when people, because I've had a couple of people, not really vibe with Prom Dreams in particular. I think just because more people have played that, and I'm like, you know what? That's fine. You don't have to like the story that I wrote, but it is my story, and I know at least some people vibe with it. So I'm going to try to focus more on that. If you're not vibing with the game, then that's okay. Just go and play something else. I will not hold it against you. But yeah, it is sometimes a bit tricky to get criticism about your game, but you have to kind of ground yourself and remind yourself not to take it too personally.
Exactly. And the thing that's so true, and the thing I've started to do is to keep my niche audience in mind when making games. I used to think I wanted approval from the entire world.
Yeah,
I used to think I
that.
wanted every and it's also impossible. Like, you can't please everyone. Mm-hmm. So for me, I had a few people in my mind. I've said these 10 or so people, I want to please them. I want to write, because to be honest, also some people who I don't really, their opinions don't resonate with me about games. They'd like a game that I really dislike, or they have opinions and they experience games in a way that I don't necessarily jive with. So I find like content creators, developers, particularly people who are likely to play my game, my friends, I'll focus on them and I'll go, I want this person to enjoy my game. Mm-hmm. I want that person to enjoy my game. And then everyone who's like them will also enjoy that game. And everyone who doesn't like my game, I sometimes go, hey, they might like things that I really dislike and dislike things I really like, further reinforcing my point that my game is good in my own eyes. So that's the thing is like, I just I've learned to take all that into account. It's made me a happier person receiving reception for my podcast, my music, my games, and all that kind of stuff in return.
Yeah.
As for, sorry, you go?
Oh, I was just going to answer the question.
Oh, yeah, I was going to ask you to, what's your opinion
okay.
on the biggest hurdle?
All right. I'm a little bit of, and I think this is why we've worked so well together in the past. I'm a bit of the opposite of Meaka. I find writing to be one of my bigger strengths. And art is obviously not one of my biggest strengths. I like to call my drawings, and you can actually see some of the concept art I drew in Turo Vero once you beat the game. But I like to lovingly refer to it as potato people.
Potato people?
Yeah, because their heads kind of look like potatoes. Anyway, I find writing comes a lot easier to me than it may for some other people. So what I struggle with more is, so I've got this complicated web of characters and how they connect with each other and what their motivations are and things like that. Sometimes because I like to deal with characters that are very complex and multifaceted, some of them are downright horrible people. Meaka knows exactly who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
No spoilers.
No spoilers.
No spoilers.
And then other times they are horrible people, but people who have also been unjustly hurt. Or they're not even horrible people, but they've done a horrible thing. So things like that. So you've got a lot of characters that can be a bit morally gray. Now my challenge is in this environment where under a microscope and confuse their depiction with condoning or something like that.
Yes.
My thing is, how do I write this in a way that, very clearly frames what's going on and doesn't come across as though essentially is how do I project the correct impression that I want people to have about my game. And I know that there's no one correct interpretation, but I'm going to be really I'm going to be kind of upset with myself if I write something about a character, getting revenge on somebody in disproportionate revenge on somebody in horrible, horrible ways for themselves being treated horribly. And then people think, oh, well, Queenie must be for vigilante justice. And I'm like, no, the point is, is that the revenge is disproportionate and it is bad and it is wrong. So, and that just may be caring way too much about the themes and the messages that my writing gives off. But I also want to make my intentions very, very clear in my writing so that if there's something ambiguous, I meant for it to be ambiguous. I want to be very purposeful with my writing and not leave things super muddy, but keep things ambiguous when they need to be. And that was kind of a big, long, kind of word salad tangent, but essentially my struggle is to write something in a way where my intent fully comes across to the best of my abilities.
Not word salad at all. I agree with all of that, and that's actually a very pertinent, very powerful point. And I think the very thing that you said you might have been overthinking, some of my favorite media is because I sense those currents underneath, that there is a well thought out psychology, a well thought out balance of message, a sort of scales, because everything in your game is saying something. So everything in a piece of media is saying something. So from the mechanics down to the story, it has a statement to it. So, and that's what I feel in some of the classics. Even if you think about the classics like Ebe and even Off, like Off has, you can tell, but Off makes it quite obvious and sort of on the nose with its, but it's also kind of subtle in some of its philosophical stuff. But yeah, it's you can tell that there's a lot of thought put behind it. It's not like randomness, it's not just weirdness. There's some level of thought, and that's what I like about also the character. You're saying trying to pick something that might be considered vile, but then you're not condoning it. You're towing the line and bringing forth moral complication to make people think. That's what I think works in media like that, is to make people think about the important issues. It doesn't have to be in every game that it's like that, but if you want to go for that, then my personal opinion and experience, some games have done that badly, or in my opinion, they've evoked it badly and seem harmful, sometimes harmful in some ways. So it's important. I think it's really important to think about all that. Yeah, so good. I'm excited to play both of your games now, so we'll see how this goes. It's only making me more excited, but yeah, we'll go to the next question. Dungeon Dev Dude, or D3, from the RPG Maker Cola Discord asks, how do you stay motivated and focused on working on projects, especially on projects that take a long time? I know it can be easy to think of new ideas and get new inspiration when working on things.
I wonder if that was supposed to be, it can't be easy.
Oh, yeah. I think maybe, I don't know if I cut that off or whether that's the full question, but I would say maybe it's easy to think of new ideas and get new inspiration. But how do you keep that going?
Okay. So like the inspiration on the current thing that you're working on. Yeah.
Like the rush at the beginning, but then how do you keep that going?
Okay. So what I do is I always plot out everything that I'm going to have in the game, in like a big ol' outline document first. So essentially I take that initial creative rush and I use it to essentially outline the entire game and what all the mechanics are going to be and all of that stuff. And then I essentially, with the exception of some minor changes here and there, I try to stick to that. Because
Yeah.
if I am constantly trying to think of new ideas, then one, that's when feature bloat comes in, and nobody wants that. And two, it derails my thought. It derails my train of thought from focusing on this idea that I'm already working on. And so when I've got something, when I have something clear and concise to focus on, then I am much more easily able to see it through until the end.
Nice. How about yourself, Meaka?
For me, I mean, it's a little bit of a struggle because I take a long time to do things just in general.
Right.
But, cause I don't know. I just do. It's just a matter of thinking, like, I'll be disappointed in myself if I give up.
Right.
Because there have definitely been times where I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna throw this all in the trash and forget about it. But then I'm like, because if you're so far down the line, I mean, part of it's sunk cost fallacy. I spent this long on it, I may as well finish it.
Yeah.
But also, I know that, like, if I'm just having an off day and I'm just like, oh, I don't like this, I'll delete all of it. I'll remember that I'm not looking at it the most objectively I can, and think, like, I'll just put it on the back burner for a little bit.
Yeah, and then work on something else while you're doing that. I do that. I've been doing that in my current game where there was a stretch of time I was just working on just writing the story in Python. But then, and then a little before, I was focused solely on composing a couple of songs. And then when I hit composer's block, I switched back to writing.
Right.
And now I've switched back to composing over the past couple of days. So just whatever strikes me, I kind of switch back and forth between those.
Right.
So that helps too.
Switching up your task, variety sort of thing to keep it interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot easier also to do that when you're actually in RPG Maker. Like, I'm not at that point yet with what I'm working on right now. But it's a lot easier once you hit the actually in the engine phase, because you're like, I don't feel like making assets today, I'm just gonna do eventing. Or I don't feel like doing eventing, I'm going to work on something else. And you can just kind of bounce around. And also, some advice that I had from when I was in college, because I was an animation major, they pointed out that we shouldn't really do our senior thesis in sequential order, like first shot first, last shot last, because then, like, as you draw over and over and over and over and over, there will be a noticeable difference in quality as it goes
Improves
on.
in quality.
Yeah, so, like, the advice my professor had given us is just jump around, do different scenes based on, like, what you think you can tackle that particular day. It doesn't matter, like, which part of it's from, the beginning or the end, just so that there's, like, some consistency throughout it. And I kind of apply that to RPG Maker development as well, because, like Queenie, I do, like, have an outline of everything I want to happen that I know I'm gonna keep, and then sometimes I still don't keep it, but I will focus on those things, and, like, I'll just, if I'm not feeling a certain part, I'll just jump around to somewhere that I feel like working on.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it is you said something matter of thinking, like, I'll be disappointed in myself if I give up. There's the idea of using sunk cost fallacy, persevering, using techniques to sort of remind why you do this, and that's what I thought. Like, it's using techniques, like, because I noticed, I don't know if this is true, I just interpreted that maybe there was, like, the inner critic coming through and going, I should delete my stuff, you know, like that inner critic that sometimes is, in my opinion, irrational, like being like, it's like, I hate my work, you know, like, but it can be such so it could even be justified. There's a trigger that someone who didn't care about you or your game or even did, they say something negative about your game, and then you lock onto that, and then your mood starts circulating and all that sort of stuff happens. Yeah. So, but it sounds like there's techniques to remind yourself while you do something, or even to take a break away from it for a while, to reward your future self, because sometimes the present self can get stuck in that, that loop, and that thing of like, I also noticed there's that there's the future self that will benefit from having finished the game. But I've been thinking of a theory. There's a theory, I've been talking with developer Calunio about it. There's a theory. There was a video that I watched about the end goal, and a lot of creatives and artists sort of push themselves towards the end goal to win first prize at the Olympics or something. And then when they do it, they get a minor sense of relief, and then it fades, And it's like, do we want that? I've been exploring the idea of having many goals and many milestones to reward yourself as you go, as you develop. A lot of game developers, I feel, put their pleasure point or their goal point at the end, and up until then you're failing, and then you succeed for a little bit, and then it just goes away, and they have the post-game release blues, where it's like, I finished the game, now what, know? So I've been thinking about maybe in my next game, or just other game developers in general, think about setting goals to reward yourself during the process, to be happy about what you've done already during the process. Like, I want to make 10 sprites today, make 10, or 10's a lot, but make 10 whatever, make a map, and then once you do it, tick it off on like a list and go, I did it. Congratulate yourself, be happy about it, or try to. But just like, it's the idea of creating reward structure within development, so it doesn't become such a means to an ends, and then you just go, I did it. At the end, it's like, yeah. So I guess that, in short, trying to make it fun along the way.
In technical terms, that would be creating a schedule of reinforcement to avoid a ratio strain.
Can I write that down? What's that? Creating a... I want to research.
Creating a schedule of reinforcement to avoid ratio strain.
Ratio strain. I'm gonna be googling. This is what
I studied behavior analysis in college.
Oh wow! So you're even the expert in this kind of thing. But I mean, that's just there's just a talk that I saw online, and I really liked that idea. I was like, I feel that, and I think I'm gonna try that next time. Cool. So we'll go into the next question. Where are we? This one's so there's a scientist WD on Discord asks, full disclosure, I never finished Tour Vero when I accidentally softlocked myself. I've heard that you I've heard that you've been fixing people's files or something, save files.
Yes, I have actually. So in the first couple of releases of the game, I think there were about 2 different ways in which you could actually soft lock yourself.
Right.
So if you were playing one of those earlier versions, you might have hit that. So if you get in touch with me over Twitter or something like that. I'm QZ Productions on Twitter. I'll give you my email. You can send me your save file, and I can do a little bit of black magic over on the developer end of things and fix your file for you.
Nice.
So if anyone is ever stuck in one of my games, or even if they just they get to an area and they're severely underleveled and they're past a point of no return or something like that, I will be more than happy to fix it. So just get in touch with me if you ever have that issue.
Excellent. So their question was, but I really want to know from both of you, where do your characters come from and how much time do you put into developing them for the game? How much should they change in the process too? Who wants to go first?
Well, characters are fun. They're the best part. They're one of the best parts of the game next to the music, honestly.
Right.
For me. Yeah, for me anyway. So when I'm doing my characters, I take a lot of inspiration from, so first of all, what kind of story do I want to tell? What kind of archetypes do I want to be using? For Prom Dreams, the character development very much came from a point of, okay, I want these characters to fulfill these specific roles and then turn those roles on their head later on.
Right.
So I've got the main character, the kind-hearted harem protagonist, and then I've got the moe girl with the glasses that feeds you, and then I've got the tsundere who's a little bit mean to you, but it's not like she likes you or anything, baka. And then you've got the cool, mature, level-headed, studious type who you may need to get to know a bit better to kind of sort of try to thaw her out. So there were very specific archetypes and roles that I filled, and I kind of rolled from there when it came to that game. For Two Rivero, it was a little bit different because I had kind of broader archetypes that I wanted to fill. I wanted a knight, a healer, a mage, and a thief. That's kind of your prototypical RPG cast of characters. But other than that, I had a lot more freedom to do what I wanted. So I kind of pulled some inspiration. Like Sigurd is definitely very influenced by my taste in fictional men.
And he is very famous for it.
Yeah.
We love our Siggy.
Yes.
Yeah.
He is I mean I'm not gonna lie, he's a himbo. He is absolutely a himbo, and this is canon. No one can prove me wrong because I'm the developer.
Yeah.
You're right, and you should say it.
Thank you. I know I am. But then Ruby, the thief character, I took a lot of inspiration from her. I don't know if you guys have ever played Tales of Symphonia, but Zelos.
No, I haven't played.
She has kind of, so he's kind of known to be, he's kind of a happy-go-lucky kind of womanizer, comic relief sort of character, but has hidden depths and a lot of trust issues.
Right.
And essentially, I was like, okay, so I want a plucky womanizer thief with a heart of gold. But wait, I already have two men in the party.
Yeah.
I know. I'll just make her a lesbian. Yeah, and so essentially, Ruby is like a lesbian Zealous Wilder, who's also a thief.
That's cool that you. That's cool that you create. Like you can draw inspiration from other characters and then flip them on its head, and it's just refreshing because you see them interact with a different story. Something. So it's not necessarily a clone per se, but it's like, and then you can start adding features to make them more unique within your world.
Yeah,
I don't think it's necessarily shameful to start from an image that you have in your head of an existing character and then build your character from that, right? Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no shame in taking the best parts of what you love and then kind of making it into your own thing. Like it would have been one thing if I had, just ripped the character off wholesale, but there's a lot of differences. But it's also very fun to meme about when you've got characters that are similar to each other. You're like, hey, these two would be best friends.
Yeah. And there's that shame I feel some writers feel about being derivative of other works when your experience is all you can draw from. Like you can read about others' experiences, but then you're having your experiences of others' experiences. So some writers get paralyzed because they can't seem to write from a place that's like separate from their own experience, but you can't. You only experience what you experience. So you'll write it. Your character's going to feel like you. Like sometimes going to speak a little bit like you, just a little bit, and that's okay because that's a personal expression, and in the end, it's the function underneath that matters. So yeah,
yeah, definitely.
How about yourself, Meaka? What about your characters?
So I guess my I usually my starting point is always just kind of starting with the character and then developing the story around them.
Right.
Because in the case of Living Playground, the 3 main characters, the siblings, I had before I made the game. Mm-hmm. So, like, and the only thing I kind of really did was just draw them for fun. And then eventually when I was like, I'm gonna make a game, and I could just kind of work the story around them. And then in cases of, like, my game for RMN's Twisted Fairy Tales event, it was very much just a character to fill the niche of, like, the character that the fairy tale was based on. Like, right. Young bride. Boom. There. Done. So, it's... How much I develop them depends on how deep they need to be for the sake of the game. So, like I said, for Twisted Fairy Tales game from Armin, I just did basically whatever. There's really not much character to fairy tale protagonists. You're just kind of like, oh, I'm a lost woman in a mystical world. Oh, no. So... You have a lot of freedom to just do whatever you want, so I just kind of... It's not really... There's not a lot of dialogue, so you can almost interpret it as a silent protagonist, but it's not really, because I think she talks at some points.
Right.
It's been a while since I looked at my own game, but there's, like, not a lot of depth to that character. And then, contrasting things, like, in The Witch's Puppets, I have... The 2 teenage characters, Hayes and Seal, are, like... I had to put a lot into them to make them feel, like, believable, and...
Right.
Especially, like, since it comes from a personal place, you have to know where to, like... Here's this bunch of me, but not all of it. Right. Just a little bit.
Yeah.
And you can also have a little bit of self-insert as a tweet, as a treat.
Yes.
Yeah, I think when we're talking about, like, self-insert, I think the point where it becomes unbearable is usually when it's self-aggrandizing.
Yeah,
when it becomes, like, egotistical. That's the main thing when it's like, okay, I get that you're cool. I get that you're this character. You save the world. You, the developer. No, I don't. But, like, if it's not massively self-aggrandizing, I'm usually fine with it, you know. In fact, it's probably less obvious when it is, you know. If it's not, like, obvious like that, then it's probably not as obvious that it's a self-insert, you know. Otherwise, it's like, he gets all the girls and they go on, yeah, you know, like. Yeah.
It's one of those things where I think a lot of people who grew up, like, at least in Queenie and my generation, of people being like, sporking Mary Sue's written on fanfiction.net.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if Queenie was around for that, but it was people who would just like find random 12-year-olds fanfiction and be like, you wrote a character that's a Mary Sue, I'm gonna make fun of it in front of all of LiveJournal.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay. So people, like, kind of got a little afraid, like, oh no, I can't make my character like astronomy because I like astronomy, and if I do that, it's a self-insert, and someone will call them a Mary Sue.
Exactly.
In reality, no one's going to know that.
Yeah, the pendulum swings just the opposite way.
Yeah.
Yeah. At a certain point, you can just, like, if you have an interest, you can write your character having that interest. It's a lot easier than being, like, finding a character having an interest so alien from yours that you have to, like, spend 12 hours researching it.
Yeah, so many Hollywood movies, writers going on an adventure. It's so funny. But it's like it's like they're good as well. Like, it's like they were a writer and they made an adventure about something, and then they went on their own. Yeah, it's like, okay, right, I get it. But,
how many Stephen King protagonists are, like, disgruntled alcoholic writers from Maine?
That's exactly who I was thinking about. Yeah, that's exactly the person. But that's because I also find him enthralling. But hey, but anyway, Yeah, fantastic. Harmless from RPG Maker Cola Discord asks, and this is a user, I really love their games. They've made this game, Lockhart Indigo, which is a fantastic game in my opinion.
Oh, I've been meaning to check that out.
Yeah, and
I've heard good things about it.
Yeah, it's like in my top 10 RPG Maker games. I love it so much. And they've got a question for both. Does narrative inform your art direction, or does your art direction inform your narrative more? We're kind of skirted around it, but if there's any other things you haven't said so far about that topic, what would you like to say about it?
I would definitely say that the narrative informs the art direction, because I don't really have an art direction because, again, I can't draw. So, well, here's the thing. I can draw enough to do a concept art, but it's definitely not the quality that I want for a game. And that's why I looked around for people who kind of encompassed my vision of what I wanted for Tour of Arrow. And then Prom Dreams is just a lot of stock images and a lot of careful editing of stock images. So that will definitely be fixed if I end up remaking the game like I plan to. But yeah, it's definitely narrative first for me, and it probably always will be.
How about yourself, Meaka?
I think I am also narrative informing art direction because obviously the way I tend to draw, I say obviously as if people listening know what my art looks like, but I mean, if you look at any of the pages on my itch.io stuff, it tends to have like a sort of cartoony feel, but I can sort of be a style chimera if I so desire.
Right.
Because that's basically what you have to do as an animator. So if I feel like my narrative is going to be a little more serious, I can do more of a serious style. If I want to do something cutesy, it'll be cutesy.
Yeah.
So I just think I base off of narrative to art direction.
Yeah.
So that,
Makes sense. Thank you, Harmless.
Yeah, so that it always like feels right.
Yeah, it feels like it comes from the writing.
You gotta do what feels right, man.
Yeah. Got it. Waka from the RPG... Oh, thank you, Harmless, for that question. Waka from the RPG Maker Cola Discord asks... Actually, this is just because I posted these were the last minute questions from Discord. They got in minutes before we started recording.
Yay!
Yay! Go Waka. Waka asks, actually, here's a random question. Let's say that all the games on the planet are magically erased. Erased. But you're lucky. You can pick one game to be saved from the Game-mageddon. Which one would you pick? I'm guessing this is like to play or
I mean, to exist in the world. Well, I know what game I would pick. I would pick The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword because that is my all-time favorite Zelda game and probably one of my all-time favorite games. I know I failed to mention the Legend of Zelda series in my list of inspirations, and that was a cardinal sin of mine because it is also a huge inspiration. You can probably see it in some of the puzzles in Tour of Arrow, but regardless, I am one of those people that every time somebody trash talks Skyward Sword, my love for it only grows stronger. And so my ultimate revenge against all of the haters who called me names and insulted me and said I wasn't a real Zelda fan for liking Skyward Sword, the ultimate revenge would be to make Skyward Sword literally the only game left to exist on this world.
It's great.
And that is my answer.
Skyward Sword, it is. How about yourself,
Mic
Meaka?
drop.
One day I'll start Skyward Sword. I have it. I just haven't played it.
Yeah.
I'm just really bad at games.
You should. It's good.
I've been stuck in the Yeti house in Twilight Princess since 2008. That's how good I am at video games.
Oh, rip.
But for me, I mean, I guess if I'm going with my gut answer, it's my favorite game is Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards, just because it just feels comfy to me. It's been my favorite game since I was like 10, and I think if I had to pick one game that encapsulates everything I ever wanted to like put into my creative process, it's that one. Because there's just something about a game that has like, oh, look at this cute toy factory, and it's on a frozen over Earth, or here is Kirby hallucinating that because he's so hungry that his friends are all snacks and they have to have a little snack break, and then here's the final boss, 02. And there's just something I really like about it, and it just resonated with me so much that I think it's just the game for me, because I'll just go back and play it over and over, like once every couple of years, because it means a lot to me.
Yeah.
It's your emotional support video game.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. I thought too deeply into this. I was like, okay, Game-mageddon, does this mean that for everyone in the world, all games will be erased except this one game, and everyone has to play this one game? And then I was like, but can more games be made, or is this the only game to ever exist after this point? And I was thinking, okay, maybe you can make more games after this, but I was thinking, what is a game that both adults and kids can play, and also it won't make you, get annoyed by its lack of content, but also it's creative in nature? I was just going to choose Minecraft, I guess.
That's also fair. I mean,
because like all the kids will enjoy it, the adults can enjoy it, and it's also community based, multiplayer based, and you can play single. But like, not everyone will enjoy it. It's not the end all games, but it's like, I just thought, I would like that one to be the worldwide only game that anyone plays.
It's universally appealing, is what you're trying to say, right?
Well, yeah, I know some people who hate it, but
well, yeah, it ticks a lot of boxes for a lot of people, and I respect that.
Some aliens on Mars dislike it, I think, but not Marsy enough for them.
When I worked in retail, sometimes the only thing I could do after coming home would be to just like zone out and just dig holes in Minecraft. So I definitely understand the appeal of being able to play digital Legos for whatever duration of time.
Yeah, I was thinking stuff like Gary's mod, or I was thinking like different things, but I was like, but it seems like Minecraft is that balance of being accessible to, a larger audience. Kids play it, and they can understand it. And and I didn't want Fortnite, so Minecraft it is. Yeah. Cool. Floral from the RPG Maker Cola Discord asks, what's some of the best experiences with feedback and having some sort of a community surrounding you?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, positive.
Yeah. Meaka, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure, I'll go. So I don't know about community. I mean, obviously I am part of the community as much as somebody who is absolutely terrified of group chats can be. But things like feedback are really good because if you get a bunch of like other devs who are beta testers with you, they can be like, I broke this part and I think this is how it happened, so maybe look into this. Like, maybe this event is triggering this, or maybe you have the wrong variable for this, and that's helpful.
Yeah.
And also sometimes I'm very bad at watching actually people play my game.
Right.
But I did manage to make myself watch Flair play my game, which is wonderful. Thank you so much, Flair. And he pointed out there were some things in like the first release. Well, not first release, but like the first re-release of Living Playground, where the lighting was kind of the overlay was too powerful, so it was too dark, which I can't tell on my screen because I have it blown to infinity with how bright I have my monitor.
Right.
But, and like finding little things that I might have missed, like, oh, if you interact with this thing and try to do something else, it will break one of the mechanics of the game. Like, not a game-breaking bug, but like, oh, now you can't run. And I'm like, I'll fix that. So
I think I found that
sort
one.
of thing is... yeah, you did too.
Yeah, I think I found that one in the witches puppets. Yeah, I found that one.
Yeah, it's the same problem. Spoilers. What it is with RPG Maker XP, it doesn't have like, if you get VX Ace on Steam, you can just check that nice little allow the player to run option. So you have to like finagle it with XP that like you increase the player's move speed by having a constant auto run event.
Right.
But if you do that, then it messes up every single move event, so you have to remember to turn it off and then turn it back on at the very end. And so all it is that at some points I forgot to turn the running back on.
Yeah.
And then so you walk until you either do something to trigger the scene again or to just somehow turn the running option back on.
Yeah. So like helpful advice and feedback is always like good. You enjoy that because people are caring about your game and playing through it and going, hey, I can actually help with this. I can, you try this, try that. And it's just, it's that collaboration that seems good to you.
Yes, I enjoy that like there are people who care enough to be like, hey, I noticed this error. Maybe you'd want to fix it. And if you check my pages on my page for Living Playground on itch.io, apparently when I very first released the re-release version, I accidentally left in the starting room being my debug room, and I was like, oh no! So
What
I
an
had
intro.
to. Someone's got a screen cap of that. So thank you to that person for pointing that out. And so I had to go fix that. I just like that there are people that will help you, and it's just nice to be able to like bond over our mutual sharing of this tool to create games.
Yeah. That's great. It's great.
Not gonna lie, Meaka, that scenario kind of sounds like the game dev version of that dream where you walk into class and you're totally naked and you don't realize it.
Yeah, that was essentially what it was. Because I'm pretty sure I accidentally like had because I uploaded it at like midnight or something, and then I went to bed, and then like 7 hours later, I see the notification. I'm like, oh no!
Oh no! Well, it's better to realize it earlier than have a couple weeks pass, and then you're like, hey, the game doesn't work. What? Like 100 people. Wow.
This is embarrassing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good they caught it. Get someone to watch your back.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Queenie, what about you?
So this is going to sound really silly, but honestly, the best kind of community interaction that I've had with people playing my memes is when they meme the crap out of it. And
yes.
So seriously, and Meaka can attest to this because even after they finished their art and submitted it to me and all that good stuff, they were still very involved in the process. I would like show off because honestly, the artists were the only people I could honestly show the game off to without spoiling it, because obviously they had a whole outline of it to understand the context of the art that they were making. So they were literally the only other people in the world who knew who could understand the inside jokes that I was making with them. So So we were slinging memes back and forth of these heart-wrenching, traumatic scenes, and yet we're putting I don't know. I'm over here making fake screen caps with the characters that Genkaiko made, and I'm making fake scenes of there, and it's that one scene from the Eric Andre show, and it's Ruby being like, "Hey Eddie, look at me." Bitch. So
love those cats.
So we had just a lot of fun, just kind of taking the piss at the game and the scenarios going on with it, and it really kept my spirits up during development.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's always great when somebody has a hot take on a character or something, and shows it to me, and I'm like, you know what, you're right, and you should say it. So just just joking around about the characters, and here's a better one. Meeka and I were. I think I was finalizing the intro cutscene with their artwork in it. And we were making jokes about what would happen if the Living Playground kids were in the world of Turovero. And I made a screenshot. I made a fake screenshot where there's the representation of the Dark One climbing up the tower to take control of it, but I put Pablo's face on it.
Right.
And the text was something like, in his complete and utter stupidity, Pablo climbed to the top of Turovero. Don't ask me how he did it. He's a kindergartner or something like that.
Yeah. It's like one of my absolute favorite things. I have all of the memes that Queenie sent me saved because they just make my heart warm.
Memes are what make the world go round.
Yeah, that's it. It's like a loving tribute to what you've created. Like, you can tell, because if it wasn't out of love, then you wouldn't enjoy it. But if it's because they enjoy what you create. So I feel, at least. Would you agree? Or
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I would agree.
Just a loving stand-up.
Yeah, the greatest sign of love for something is if you take the piss out of it, honestly.
Yup.
And like, it's almost like fan work as well. It's like they're fans. They want to engage with you. They want to transform your work into something funny, but also, it's a send up, I feel.
I've gotten a lot of great fan art for both of my games, and it just absolutely makes my day whenever I see it.
Yeah.
Did you know, Queenie, there is, I believe, one fanfiction on AO3 for Prom Dreams now.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, this is my bold confession. Sometimes I will check the video games listed on Archive of Our Own in order to see if any of my friends' games have had fanfiction for them, which in this case is usually Queenie, because I think she's the only one with a finished game outside of, I think, Z Makes Games has Mare out. Case of Maneki's still under progress. Please watch out for that. But sometimes I just keep an eye on my friends' games to see if there's any fan fiction. And in this case, I was like, oh, what's this? One for Prom Dreams?
Oh my God. I'm going to have to go check that out. Holy crap.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So to whoever wrote that fan fiction, thank you. Know that Queenie knows it exists now.
For better or for worse, I know it exists.
They found you. Quick.
The boundary has been broken. The seal has been unleashed. The prophecy has been fulfilled.
Oh no, this is how the Dark One climbs the tower.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, those are all the questions we've got in the question box. Yeah. So now we're going to go into our next section, the deep dive. Welcome to the deep dive. In this section, we dive deep into each of our guests' projects and figure out what went on during the process, inspirations, and elsewise. But seeing as we've already talked quite a lot about each of the projects, I think already, we'll just go like just a quick summary and just kind of get ourselves familiar with each of the games, so you can play them, download them, and give good feedback because you'll love them. So I'm going to start off with a game called Living Playground by Meaka. Siblings Octavio, Tony, and Pablo are exploring outside of an abandoned factory looking for the world's best snails. You can guess where this is going. Living Playground is a short, puzzle-based adventure game with a dash of horror theming for flavor. The player controls Tony, the cheerful slide girl, as she attempts to reunite with her brothers and find an exit while avoiding multiple untimely ends. It features approximate 1.5 hour playtime, and then things get weirder from there. There's 100% original visual assets, all made by Meaka, and some background music also made by Meaka. And it's apparently got one short animated sequence, one ending, and less snails than promised. So Living Playground, Meaka, this is your project, yes?
Yes, that is my project. It was initially made... It was the first thing I made in RPG Maker back in, I want to say I started in 2012, and then I went on like a little bit of a work hiatus because I was in college at that point and I had to do my senior animation thesis, and there was no way I was going to be making an RPG Maker game along with making a 4.5-minute animation, so I put that off until I graduated college and then released it in 2014. And then as I was waiting for the playtesters for the sequel game, The Witch's Puppets, sequel not really, that you can play one without playing the other. I had a lot of spare time and I had a better understanding of how the RPG Maker engine worked, especially the limitations of XP and what I could do with it to make it, like, stand out more.
Right.
So I went back and did, like, a remaster of sorts. I touched up all the sprites. I kind of tried to avoid the error that I had a lot in my first versions of the game, where every map is a huge square that's, like, 20 by 20, and you're, like, no run button, by the way. Sorry for my very first playtesters.
Right.
But, using my knowledge of what I had done through making the second game, I was able to go back and kind of touch it up.
Yeah.
So I did that from, I want to say it took me about 4 months, in sometime in 2018. The only thing I didn't change was the animated sequence, because I felt like, it kind of withstood the test of time better than, like, the sprite work did, because it was actually my first foray into sprite art in general, so...
All right. What would you say about, like, so Living the Playground, The Witch's Puppets is... Would you say, like, if you had someone play, would you want them to play The Witch's Puppets first, or would you want them to play Living Playground by the original first?
You could do either or. Honestly, I feel like in terms of polish, I would say, if you wanted, like, the order of how much I understand the engine, I would say Witch's Puppets first, then Living Playground, but it really doesn't matter, because they're outside of containing the three main characters. They're not really super connected story-wise.
Oh, okay. Right.
It's sort of just in the same universe sort of concept.
Okay. Because for some reason I heard remaster or whatever, and I thought it was the same game, but it's not. It's a completely different story, completely different same characters but different story, right? Yeah.
Yes. The first one, Living Playground itself, is more of a traditional literal girl locked in a insert building type here RPG Maker game. And then The Witch's Puppets is more open exploration-y kind of, and you can switch between the main characters, which is not a thing you can do in Living Playground. You can choose, like, if you want to have obviously it's limited based on who you have in your party at that point in time, but you can have any of the 3 kids lead. That kind of thing.
What do you think you did really well in this game? Like, it seems like people like it. So what do you think people like attached to, or what do you think really worked?
If I ever discover that, I'd be really excited, so that I could replicate it.
Yeah.
I think I just kind of, I guess, got lucky in that it resonated with some people. I know a friend of mine has complimented my character writing, which feels really good because, like I said earlier, I don't consider myself a writer.
Right.
And so, that, like, I believe it was said specifically that, like, each character has a distinctive voice, which felt really good because I'm always afraid that everyone just kind of talks like I would. And I don't want to have that kind of thing come off where it's like everyone is just the same voice and you can't tell who is talking without the name tag or the bust portrait.
Right, true. At the same time, I mean, it's a good direction to go with your game. At the same time, I've played games where I can tell the writer is writing it because it feels directly like them, like how I can hear some of how they'd speak, but it adds to the game or the movie in some cases. But in your game, you kind of wanted them to feel different. You wanted them to feel discreet, I suppose, and have their own personalities and ways of speaking, and that seems really good.
Yeah, I would also say that because I think more of who I am comes across in, like, the flavor text.
Right.
So it's almost a situation, there is no technical narrator, but I wanted it to feel like the narration was different than what the characters are. If that makes sense.
Yeah. That's cool. And also, I'll just also say that if looking at the screenshots, I'm going to be playing Meeka's. Just might be this game, might be different games this Friday, but well, it depends on when you listen to this podcast. But it just looks very visually interesting. The tile sets are really lovely looking. You got lighting in there as well. You got some environments that are very like curious looking and very captivating. And these portraits which have emotions, attached to them. I can see how even on first glance, visually speaking, it's got a charm to it. And it even looks. The new version looks a bit more. I don't know if it's true. Does it look more colorful than the first one? The sequel? Or is it?
They're both, well, I would say yes. Living Playground, the very first one, which I don't have screenshots up of because, looking at your old art. But anyway, it's purposely more, because it takes place in an abandoned factory, so it's purposely more kind of dingy. Whereas so, like, to fit the setting of it being in an abandoned factory, I wanted more muted colors. And versus in Witches Puppets, the setting is, like, literally all over the place. So I wanted to just go... I like going ham with color.
Yeah.
So
I see, like, green fields and, trees and, like... deep reds and like oranges, and it just seems quite kaleidoscopic in a way in some cases.
Yes.
Yeah,
that sounds fair because I just wanted to kind of go wild with power at that point.
It looks very good. I like the look of it, and I can't wait to give it a go. How about for Queenie? I'm going to look at Queenie's game Turo Vero, The Celestial Tower. Turo Vero, The Celestial Tower, where players take on the role of 4 young adventurers: Sigurd, a brave and kind-hearted knight; Lelia, a gentle and motherly cleric; Edric, a gifted yet sharp-tongued mage; and Ruby, a cheeky, fun-loving thief, who have no recollection of their lives prior to meeting one another. Determined to free their world from the influence of an ancient evil, the Dark One, the group sets forth on their most perilous journey yet as they climb the mysterious divine tower, Turo Vero. And apparently it marries some of the best elements of RPG Maker games: dungeon crawler, old school JRPGs, mystery, intrigue, and some RPG Maker horror genre, and just all original title, character, and enemy and cutscene artwork, some of which is by Meaka themselves. So I'd like to ask you the question, Queenie. What is, I suppose, is like the impetus for this game? Like, what would you say? So you created Turavero. Let me try and formulate my question. What would you say the game is about, and why did you create this game? And what do people want? What would people expect from playing this game?
So Turavero is another one of those games where it definitely looks like one thing on the surface, but once you go a little deeper into it, you realize, oh shoot, something else is going on.
Right.
So if the description sounds very generic, it's because it was designed to be.
Tricky.
So the exact nature of everything that's going on, the Dark One, what's the nature of the tower, what were the backstories of the four heroes, all those get answered, but quite possibly not in the ways that you would expect.
Right.
So essentially a big theme of the game is how far are you willing to go to discover the truth?
Yeah.
And so the way the game is structured, it's structured in different levels of the tower. So like the first floor, the second floor, and so on and so forth. So the first floor is, your typical tutorial dungeon. You get to know the characters a little bit. And they share some humorous moments and things like that, but nothing is really very wrong in that floor. Then you get to floor 2 and you start to feel like something's a little bit off. Things are going on that are maybe prodding the characters' memories a little more than they would have expected.
Right.
Or, tapping into maybe some deep-seated issue that they have. So you start to see kind of sort of that thing. And then from the third floor on, it's just more, it's essentially more of that. You get to see more into the character's psyche, know what their story is, know what their deep-seated trauma and issues are. And really it turns more into a game about discovering the truth and about overcoming adversity. But yeah, it's so definitely don't be fooled by the set. I heard one viewer describe it as set dressing. The initial story, the summary story that you see on the rpgmaker.net page, that is set dressing. The real meat of the game comes later, and you'll just have to play for yourself to see exactly what that meat tastes like. I hope it's juicy for you.
Yeah. Or tofu if you're vegan, It's gonna...
Yes. Or a very, very good, or a very, very good Beyond Burger.
Yes. And you're talking about set dressing, you're talking about different floors, different messages. As you progress, there's this motif of a tower and rising upwards, and you're writing from trauma and from like a psychological standpoint, exploring trauma. So from that perspective, I mean, I know you're strong at writing. What would you feel like are the strongest points of your game, or like the things that have really resonated according to the feedback you've received? What do you feel like have been the strongest points of your game, I suppose?
Ooh, this is going to be a hard one to talk about without spoilers.
True, yes.
But I think my personal favorite part of the game is the relationship that the four main characters have with each other. There are it's a game with actually with multiple roots. So you might see different sides of kind of that friendship square that's going on. But there are very specific ways that each of the characters relate to each other that I really enjoyed writing. And from what I've heard, a lot of people really enjoyed playing and seeing for themselves. A lot of people in my Discord server like to joke that all 4 of the heroes are shippable with one another, so you can pretty much interchange them. Yeah.
Sheesh.
Or, they could all, or we actually have a nickname for, we kind of have a jokesy nickname for kind of shipping all 4 of them together as a group. Polyvero.
Oh, wow. Wow. Yeah.
But yeah, essentially they've all got chemistry with each other. And I'm really proud of the fact that I was able to do that in a way that at least most people were able to pick up upon. So that's my thing that I'm probably the most proud of. That and also I am really satisfied with the soundtrack. I had a lot of fun doing the soundtrack. It's one of my favorite parts of game development. And it just like the music is leagues ahead of the stuff I did for Prom Dreams, which isn't bad, but definitely I was able to kind of take the next level with this game.
Growth is happening. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. we stand growth.
Yeah. I actually have some of the songs from Turovero on my phone, like for when I'm driving in the car. Sometimes you just gotta listen to the battle theme and get pumped while you're just sitting in traffic.
And fun fact, the battle theme has Toho trumpets.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I can't wait. I actually haven't heard any of it, so I'm gonna be playing it this Friday. I think so. That's been a deep dive. I think if we do either of you have any questions you'd like to ask each other, or just in general you think topics that you'd like to raise that you think would be interesting that you've been thinking about, or nothing?
I got nothing.
I've got one. One.
Okay.
If the Turovero gang were charged with babysitting the Living Playground kids, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much chaos would ensue?
All of Turovero world would be set aflame, I'm pretty sure. I feel like, obviously, Lelia would do an amazing job being Team Mom.
Obviously.
I'm not sure how Sigurd would be with the kids. He might do pretty good. Ruby would be a very bad influence, teaching the children swear words, and I think that combined with possibly Erdrick teaching them magic might end with lots of fire.
Oh boy!
That is my assumption.
These are the predictions. Crossover game coming soon. No. So, yeah.
Actually, for those of you who beat Turovero, you might find an Easter egg related to Living Playground. I'm not going to tell you where, though. You'll have to find out for yourself after the 20 hours of gameplay?
Yeah.
20 hours of very fun gameplay. And I cried a whole lot.
I can't wait.
And I collected their tears in a jar for my further consumption.
So yeah, that's a deep dive for now. I think we're going to the latter end of the second hour, third hour. I think I just want to give each of you now the opportunity to plug or promote anything you'd like here. Specifically, from our point of view, we want to know how we can support you, where we can find you on social media, or where we can play your games, or even if you have other games by others you want to shout out, or this is just your platform. We want to know how we can support you. So we'll start with, who wants to start?
I'm going to grab a couple of links real quick. So Meaka, why don't you start?
Okay, well, it's really easy. I tend to go by Meaka on most sites. That is my itch.io and my rpgmaker.net. The only exception is my Twitter is Meeker Sneakers, which is just the long version for when websites don't allow me to have only 5 characters in a name. And that is also, if for some weird reason RPG Maker isn't quite your cup of tea, first, why did you listen to the 3 hours of this or whatever? whatever it ends up whittling down to. But I also, I lied. It's still also RPG Maker, but I also have an Etsy under Meaker Sneakers, which is more of like traditional like Artist Alley merchandise with my illustration and stuff. It's I'll tell you now, it's mostly Kirby, so I'm so sorry if you expect me to have other interests.
Hey.
There's also original content that and some RPG Maker games that mostly is it.
Yeah, nice.
Those are the places you can find me. I think if you check my Twitter pinned, there's just like a whole list of links that if you want to find me elsewhere.
Yeah.
And other than that, I want to shout out, I guess, Queenie's stuff. Also check hers out. It's really good. Please, if you haven't play Prom Dreams and Turuvero in whatever order you feel. Get ready for it to be a long time. But it's a good long time, and I really recommend them, because they're honestly, I think, for the longest time, before I even knew Queenie, Prom Dreams was in my like top 5 RPG Maker games, so I would definitely recommend it.
Nice. And yourself, Queenie?
So right now I'm the most active on Twitter. You can find me at QC Productions, all one word. And right now I am mostly just kind of posting just kind of random snippets from the visual novel that I am developing. It's called Elysian, the Mirror of Epiphany. Actually, no, it's Elysian Mirror of Epiphany. No, the. We realized that the sounded. Discord took a vote and the was axed. But yeah, it is a. It's an otome game, but like my other games, there's a little bit more brewing underneath the surface. So look forward to that. It's still in pre-alpha right now. Yeah, so I'll be posting more about that as I go. I also want to shout out, obviously, Meaka. Meaka did the cut. Yes, Meaka did the cutscene artwork for Turuvero and is most likely going to also be involved in my upcoming visual novel. So definitely give them a visit at the information that they provided. Play their games and become and honestly, I want to take all 3 of her babies home with me. Just put them in my pocket and take them home. But then they'll turn into playground equipment in my pocket, and then we'll rip my pocket. So, but
not ideal.
Yeah, not ideal. But
not ideal.
Yeah, but I also want to give a shout out to all of the other artists that worked on Turuvero. The character bust sprites were all done by Genkaiko, aka Anastasia. You can find her on AnnaArlene_art on Twitter. I think she's currently doing a lot of stuff for like Critical Role that fandom. So if you're into Critical Role, she does a lot of really great fan art for that series as well. Amy did all of the monster art. And she's been a little bit busy with school lately, but school and work, I believe. But her Twitter is at please draw more, all one word. Yeah, she's cool. So definitely go and check her stuff out. And then the title screen artwork and the ending artwork was all done by my longtime friend, Christina Moreno. Conflakes. That's CONFLEIKS on Twitter. So all of these lovely people, these gals and non-binary pal have all come together and helped me out with Turovero to make it much, much prettier than my first game. So big hand to all four of them.
Excellent. Yeah, big ups. Yeah, just go do all that. Follow everybody. No, but like, go check out all those people. They've got fantastic stuff, and they creators. I can just see, like, collaboration's one of my favorite things, and community. So I appreciate, shouting out your team members, shouting out, people you love, and that's fantastic. I just want to thank both of you so much. We've come to the end of the podcast. It's a lengthy one, but there are people who do listen to 3-hour podcasts. There are. They exist. They're out there.
It's just under 3 hours. My timer says right now 2 hours and 50 minutes, and that's including some of the stuff that's going to get cut out.
Indeed. I just want to thank you, Meaka and Queenie, for being on the podcast. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, wow. In unison as well.
Yeah.
we practiced
that wasn't rehearsed,
that
by the way. And I'd like to just say farewell to our audience. Thank you so much for listening. This is actually quite a big moment for RPG Maker Cola as well, because this is the last traditional podcast episode of the season 2. So the season finale is next week, and it'll be not traditional. It will be a little bit different to how you might expect. I'll have an additional episode, sort of like a little explanation in front of it to explain what it's about. But that will hopefully be exciting to anyone who's listening. And we might have a season finale stream. I'm thinking maybe Jackbox, community game. So whoever wants to come along, they can come along, have fun for our final stream under RPG Maker Cola Season 2. It's been good. It's been really good. That's that. So I'd just like to say thank you for listening. You can probably hear the music rising underneath as the outro. It's really good music because I composed it. And it's just rising, and it's rising. And the outros, I just want to thank all our listeners. Thank you so much. We'll see you later. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
And that's it.